As Sarah sat in her upscale apartment, she couldn't help but feel like something was missing. She had a successful career, a beautiful home, and a supportive partner, but the excitement she once felt for her life had slowly dwindled away. Was this really all there was to life? Had she already reached her peak in her mid-30s? One evening, as she was scrolling through social media, she stumbled upon a video that would change everything. It spoke about the power of mental and physical resilience and how it can help us realize our true potential. Sarah was intrigued and decided to dive deeper into this concept. She started attending workshops and seminars that taught her how to push her limits and challenge herself in ways she never thought possible. She began to feel alive again, and her belief in herself grew stronger every day. It wasn't long before she signed up for a mountaineering expedition in the Himalayas, a feat that seemed impossible just a few months ago. As Sarah stood on top of the world, surrounded by breathtaking views and a newfound sense of accomplishment, she realized that this was only the beginning. Life was about never-ending progress, and she was just getting started. The challenges that once seemed insurmountable were now just stepping stones on her journey to discovering her true potential. Sarah returned home with a newfound sense of purpose, and her life took on a whole new meaning. She knew that she was capable of achieving anything she set her mind to, and the world was her oyster. The once complacent and satisfied life she had led was now a distant memory, replaced by a sense of excitement and possibility. For Sarah, the pinnacle of her life was not a destination, but a never-ending journey of self-discovery and growth. Chapter 1. Sophie was a successful entrepreneur who had everything going for her. She was confident, driven, and passionate about her business. But after a terrible car accident that left her paralyzed from the waist down, she felt like she had lost everything. She was angry, frustrated, and couldn't imagine how she would ever get her life back on track. For months, Sophie wallowed in self-pity, blaming the accident for everything that had gone wrong in her life. But one day, she woke up and realized that she had a choice. She could either continue to feel sorry for herself or take control of her situation and make the best of it. Determined to move forward, Sophie started making small changes every day. She began physical therapy and slowly started regaining some of her strength. She also started to focus on her business again, even though it was hard to imagine how she would be able to run it from a wheelchair. But Sophie refused to give up. She started networking with other entrepreneurs in her field, and she slowly began to build a team of people who could help her run her business. She also started speaking out about her experience and became an advocate for people with disabilities. Despite the challenges, Sophie's business continued to grow, and she was soon able to expand to new markets. She even started a nonprofit organization that provided support and resources for people with disabilities who were starting their own businesses. Through her hard work and determination, Sophie was able to turn her tragedy into an opportunity. She learned that no matter what life throws at you, it's always possible to move forward and create a better future for yourself. Chapter 2. Jenna had always been haunted by a traumatic experience from her childhood. Her father had been abusive towards her and her mother, and she had grown up feeling afraid and helpless. For years, she had tried to push these memories away, pretending they never happened. But the pain was always there, simmering just below the surface. One day, Jenna decided to face her past head-on. She started by writing in a journal, detailing all of the memories and emotions that had been bottled up inside her for so long. It was difficult at first, but she found that as she wrote, she started to feel a sense of release. Next, Jenna decided to take it one step further. She recorded herself telling her story, speaking directly into her phone's camera. It was hard to look at herself and relive the painful memories, but she knew it was necessary. She listened to the recording every day, slowly building up her courage and her strength. Over time, Jenna started to notice a change. She was no longer haunted by her past in the same way. She felt more confident, more sure of herself. She even started to speak out about her experiences, using her story to help others who were going through similar situations. It wasn't easy, but by facing her pain head-on, Jenna was able to turn a negative experience into a source of strength and empowerment. She learned that she didn't have to be defined by her past, and that with time and effort, it was possible to create a better future for herself. Chapter 3. The 1-second decision can make all the difference in your life. When faced with moments of doubt, most people quit on the spot. But if you take just 1 second to gain control of your thoughts and push away your emotions, you can decide to fight instead of giving up. Remind yourself of your goal and stay hyper-focused. Once you overcome that doubt, you'll be stronger and able to overcome many more challenges in life. Don't let a single moment of weakness drag all your dreams away. The power to make the 1-second decision is within you. Chapter 4. Samantha had been hiking for what felt like days, her feet blistered and sore, but she knew the summit was just around the bend. As she made her way up the last steep hill, her heart pounding with excitement, she couldn't wait to reach the top and take in the breathtaking view. But as she reached the bend, her excitement turned to disappointment. The summit was still out of reach, and she had another hill to climb. She felt a wave of frustration wash over her. Why did it always seem like the end was in sight, only for it to be a false summit? Later that night, as she listened to an audiobook her teacher had assigned, Samantha couldn't help but wonder when it would end. She kept checking the time, hoping that she was getting closer to the end. But every time she thought she was there, another chapter began. It was then that she realized that she needed to stop focusing on the end goal and instead concentrate on the journey. She needed to give her all to each step, to each chapter, without worrying about when it would all be over. Samantha knew that if she stayed present and focused, she would eventually reach her destination. And as she made her way up the final stretch of the mountain, she smiled to herself, knowing that she had learned a valuable lesson, that the journey is just as important as the destination. Chapter 5. As a young boy, Jack always dreamed of becoming a famous musician. He loved singing and playing guitar, and spent hours practicing every day. But as he grew older, Jack found himself getting sidetracked. He went to college, got a job, and started a family. His music career took a back seat, and soon he wasn't playing or singing at all. One day, Jack went to a concert and saw his favorite musician on stage. He was amazed at how talented the musician was, and realized that he had let his own dreams fall by the wayside. That's when he made the decision to start playing and singing again. Jack knew that it wouldn't be easy to pick up where he left off, but he was determined to make it happen. He started by setting aside time each day to practice, even if it was only for a few minutes. He made a to-do list of the things he needed to work on, and made sure to check them off every day. He also made a plan of action for his music career, setting goals and deadlines for himself. As he kept practicing, Jack began to notice a change in himself. He was more focused, more driven, and more disciplined. He was able to get more done in less time, and felt more confident in his abilities. He started performing at local venues, and soon gained a following. People loved his music, and he loved playing for them. In the end, Jack realized that the discipline he had cultivated had not only helped him become a better musician, but a better person overall. He was more organized, more responsible, and more focused on his goals. And best of all, he was finally living his dream. Chapter 6. As a young girl, Sarah had always dreamed of being a singer. Her parents weren't supportive of her dreams, and so she kept her passion hidden, singing only in the shower or when she was alone. It wasn't until she was in her early 20s that she finally mustered up the courage to pursue her dream. She auditioned for a local talent show and was selected to perform. On the day of the show, Sarah was nervous, but she took a deep breath and walked onto the stage. As she began to sing, her nerves dissipated, and she felt an incredible sense of joy and freedom. The audience was mesmerized, and when she finished, they erupted in applause. Sarah had accomplished something incredible. She had faced her fear and pursued her dream. From that moment on, she knew that nothing could hold her back from achieving her goals. Chapter 7. Julie had always been a hard worker. She was diligent and responsible, always meeting the standards set by her employers. But deep down, she knew she could do more. One day, she landed a job at a prestigious marketing firm. The company had high standards for its employees, and Julie was determined to meet and exceed them. She poured all her energy into her work, often staying late and sacrificing her weekends to get ahead. But as the months passed, Julie realized that something was missing. She had been so focused on meeting the company's standards that she had neglected her own personal growth. She had become stagnant, and it was starting to affect her work. Then, she met a coworker named Alex. Alex was a go-getter, always pushing himself to do more and be better. He inspired Julie to set higher standards for herself, to aim for something beyond the expectations of her employer. With Alex's help, Julie began to take risks and experiment with new ideas. She started to create content that went beyond what was required, pushing the boundaries of what she thought was possible. Soon, her hard work paid off. Her innovative ideas caught the attention of her boss, who offered her a promotion. Julie realized that by setting her own standards and striving to surpass them, she had not only grown as a professional, but she had also become a valuable asset to her company. Chapter 8. Carla had always been told she wasn't cut out for greatness. Growing up in a low-income neighborhood, she was constantly told that her future was predetermined. She was told to settle for a job that paid the bills and forget about her dreams. But Carla refused to let those voices define her. She knew she had the potential to achieve greatness, and she was determined to prove it. Despite the odds stacked against her, Carla worked hard and pursued her passion for science. She excelled in her classes and landed a scholarship to study at a top university. But even then, the negative voices persisted. Carla was often the only woman in her classes, and she was constantly reminded that the sciences were not a field for people like her. Despite the challenges, Carla persisted. She graduated with honors and went on to pursue a career in research. She worked tirelessly in the lab, dedicating herself to her work and never letting anyone tell her she wasn't good enough. Years passed, and Carla's hard work paid off. She made a groundbreaking discovery that would change the course of science forever. Her research was recognized by the Nobel Committee, and she was awarded the prize for her incredible contributions to the field. Carla had defied the odds and proven that greatness is within reach for anyone who is willing to work for it. She had broken the mold and redefined what it meant to be a scientist, a woman, and a trailblazer. And she knew that her journey was just beginning. Summary. Samantha had always felt trapped by her circumstances. Growing up in a small town, she was expected to follow a certain path in life. But deep down, she knew she wanted more. She wanted to be someone who made a difference in the world. At first, Samantha was hesitant. She didn't want to upset those around her or risk failure. But as she watched others around her settle for a life that wasn't their own, she knew she had to act. Samantha began to push beyond her limits, working tirelessly to achieve her goals. She refused to let her past mistakes or society's expectations hold her back. She surrounded herself with people who believed in her and supported her, pushing her to be her best self. It wasn't easy, and there were times when Samantha wanted to give up. But with every obstacle she overcame, she grew stronger and more determined. And in the end, all her hard work paid off. Samantha became the person she always wanted to be, a force for good in the world. And looking back on her journey, she knew that she wouldn't have made it without pushing beyond her limits, overcoming her past, and surrounding herself with people who believed in her. Now, the insights and knowledge I gained from reading Never Finished were phenomenal. I highly recommend it. Thank you for taking the time to watch, and if you found value in this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more great content. Trust me, you won't regret it.